Early in Glass Menagerie, Amanda says to her children, in these trying times, we have only each other to cling to. We must cling to each other. But it doesn't really turn out like that. They don't really do that. They start looking for outside help, something outside that small little apartment. There's a strange scene in scene four, when Tom, as usual, goes out and gets drunk. He says he's at the movies. He might be. He goes to a stage show, and there's this Malvolio the magician, and he turns out to be a sort of sinister mock Christ. He can do some really creepy stuff. He can turn water into wine. That seems hopeful, but then he turns it into beer and whiskey. That kind of ruins the illusion. And then he can turn canaries into fish and fish back to canaries. But the one that impressed Tom the most was that they nailed him into a coffin, and he got out of the coffin without removing one nail. So I don't want to go all Jesus figure on you or anything, but you've got the water to wine, it's got the miracles, and then a resurrection. Coming out of the coffin without moving a nail. This reminds Tom says, I wish I could do that. And it reminds him of someone else who was able to get out of the coffin without removing one nail, and that would be his dad, who left the family. So in this particular scene, you're looking at something from outside, it's magical, enchanting, and his dad disappeared. It's not the same as resurrection. It's not the same as rising up and shining out of the coffin. But that's how he sees it. Okay? I wish I could do that. All right? Then in scene 5, he finally tells Amanda, Tom tells Amanda, I think I know someone who can come visit Laura. Of course, she thinks that the guy's going to come and marry Laura, because he kind of jumps to conclusion. But the title, and actually there's screen images that Tennessee intended to happen during the play. It says The Annunciation. This is when Tom is telling Amanda, this guy named Jim is going to come visit Laura. The Annunciation. Well, the Annunciation is supposed to be the Annunciation in general for capital A. The Annunciation is to Mary. You're going to have a baby. And it's going to be Jesus. It's going to be the Son of God. That's who's coming to visit us. And his name is Jim O'Connor. You take the O out, it's Jim Connor, it's JC. So yes, a Savior will come to see us, and they're gonna have fish. And by the way, it rains, so you've got the whole fertility thing going on too. Even you could say baptismal. The Amanda brings out candles. The light goes out. They're cast into everlasting darkness when it's time. When Laura and Jim move away from the dinner table, and they're by themselves. The light goes out. Amanda says we're cast into everlasting darkness. She takes candles out there, and those candles are from the Church of Heavenly Rest. And so, and Jim's warmth and charm lights up the inner candles, altar candles, and Laura. So it should be okay. Well, it gets a little worse, or better. Jim also gives Laura a drink of wine, and it even sounds like the communion rail. Drink this, but don't drink too much. So have wine, and then they dance. And if you read the lines, if you read that passage, and you don't know what it's about, it sounds like they have a kind of consummation. I'll just leave it at that. So that's positive, sort of. And then there's a kiss, and that kiss is what I've called before the Keatsian kiss. It's the moment that makes life worth living. It's the happiest time, the happiest moment you can imagine. It's your life as you wish it would be all the time, as maybe you hoped and expected it would be. Little Laura, shy, withdrawn, and popular Jim from high school kisses her right on the lips. And that is going to probably get it done, right? It's all very tantalizing. I think that's what it should be called. I think the play should be called The Tantalizer. I'm not going to tell you what happens after that. I don't know. Maybe you haven't read the play. But we'll leave it like that for today, and perhaps we can talk about this play one more time before we move on to a woman who also says something like they do. She says, When someone takes her in his arms, she says, sometimes God comes so quickly. Sometimes there's God so quickly.